the main thing I was wanting to talk about today is kind of genetics and grieving. Not only, so for us, let me go into our genetic background. I had febrile seizures as a child. And as someone who I can almost 99% guarantee I have OCD, I just do not have the resources to be diagnosed with that at this point. So I had febrile seizures around the age of 3 years old. Nothing that I remember. But as a child with obsessive thoughts, I was always terrified of epilepsy. My whole life, I was scared I was going to suddenly have a seizure. I was scared of people around me having seizures. That was just something I struggled with growing up. I saw in 5th grade a little boy have a seizure during a fire drill. And when I was in high school, my cosmetology teacher had a seizure. So that's a little bit of background about me personally. So, when Will and I met, we got pregnant very quickly, within 2 months of knowing each other. And that baby, we had a really awful miscarriage. I can go on, that's a whole nother story. So once that happened, Will and I got married because we knew that this was a journey we wanted to be on together. And that's a very hard thing for people to go through that early on in a relationship, and I think it would either make or break you, and for us it made us. So after that, we wanted another baby. So we got pregnant with Nova. I was turning 22 when I got pregnant with Nova. We were very ignorant and did not get any genetic testing done on ourselves prior to having a baby. So everything went great with Nova for the first 6 months, and then she had an ear infection and she had a seizure in my arms while we were sleeping. They told me, based on that one seizure, this was likely something she would grow out of. I think I already knew in my gut that it was more than that, but I wanted to have hope. So Nova went on to have 3 more seizures in a very short period of time and was diagnosed with epilepsy. With her epilepsy diagnosis, we had genetic testing done in, I'm going to say September. It had to be like August of 2023. And that came back positive for the SCN1A mutation. The neurologist that we were seeing at the time, I think he had connected the dots that based on her seizure type, it was likely she had Dravet, but I don't think he wanted to tell us that. I don't think he wanted that to be the case for us. So he would say, well, she's not developmentally delayed. She doesn't have Dravet syndrome. Her EEG doesn't line up with Dravet syndrome, etc., etc. He actually had a substitute one day because he was sick, and that doctor that we saw told us to expect our daughter to have Dravet syndrome and to start doing research into what that looked like. I had already done research and I knew that's what she had. So we went to see another epileptologist because we wanted someone that specialized in epilepsy, and he confirmed that she had Dravet syndrome. about 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant with Denver. We wanted another baby, but once Nova was diagnosed with Dravet, we stopped trying. So it was a big shock to us and a big stressor for me. So whenever I was doing my initial like 8 or 12 week blood work, they ran testing on me and found out I had the SCN1A mutation. So I had that information and I had Nova's testing results. So after some research I have done, we found out, backtrack. I knew what Nova's genetic mutation variant looked like, and I knew what mine looked like. However, they were done at different labs. So I found out very recently that what I thought was not the same genetic mutation variant was. They were just written in different formats and a little bit differently because of the different labs. So that means Nova inherited the exact variant I have, which I was unaware of. That was the situation until literally 2 months ago. So that happened, and we just started trusting that Denver would be fine. And once we passed the 6-month mark with Denver, I felt a lot of relief. I was like, okay, we made it to this point. That's when Nova had her first seizure. Denver's been sick before and she's not had a febrile seizure. We're probably okay. When Denver was eight months old, she had her first seizure. My parents were on vacation in Indiana visiting family, so that was very hard for me to deal with without them. Her first seizure was actually like a bunch of head drop clusters. So that is what found out she had epilepsy, and then that automatically, when we went to the hospital she had drop seizures for days and days and days, and they were very long. When we went to the hospital for that, I think she had a febrile seizure, and that's why we went to the hospital. They did genetic testing there. We got those results back when she was about 10 months old. She had the exact variant that Nova had. So, and her seizure types at this point were presenting exactly the same. She has Dravet syndrome. I still, at that point in time, was unaware I had the same mutation. Same exact variant, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So we had still been holding out hope that we could have more children in the future if we felt like, obviously, we could handle the girls and everything fine. So we were like, well, we had always planned on having 4 kids very close together, and that obviously changed to the point where we're like, okay, well, we'll take a gap and we'll have 2 and then 2. Then something came over me. I feel like as a Dravet parent, you're just constantly researching and looking for answers. I decided to look into my genetic mutation, and I found out that I have the exact same variant the girls do. So this is research I've done on my own. We have not seen a geneticist yet. We don't have the resources to do that right now. But we will obviously do that at some point in time and confirm this information. But based on my own research that I've done, we have about a 35 to 45% chance of our future children having Dravet syndrome. So that was all the preface of leading into this grief topic. So since Nova was about 18 months old, she started to be very delayed, and we started to have to grieve what we thought our child's future would look like.